Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of the AFC North Talk here with Q, here with Ace and Tony. Hey, Tony is enjoying himself a nice deserving afternoon. Shout out to Tony's sister getting married. Shout out to her. So, guys, one thing that we want to say real quick is thank you for everybody that is supporting. Thank you for everybody that watches the video. Thank you for the likes, the comments. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for the super chats. It's a way for you to engage directly with the show. It's a way for you to answer your questions or put your comments, and we make sure we highlight it during the show. One thing is, if you haven't, make sure you follow us on Twitter. From next week on, we're gonna do, and I know how much you love this, position rankings on the AFC North. And the first one, we're gonna put the poll probably by the end of today or early tomorrow. And it's gonna be what position you're gonna start. It's gonna be an offense. And we'll let you guys decide what position you want us to come next week and rank. So make sure you follow us on Twitter and make sure you vote, okay? So schedules came out. Oh my God. And I seen that Twitter. Oh, that Twitter exploded. Ravens fans, Browns fans, Bengals fans. I don't know. I haven't seen that many Steelers fans, by the way.
They hiding. They all
like Tony.
Since the Browns beat them, I literally barely see them. But anyway, not trying to don't get triggered, Steeler fans. Don't get triggered. But so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna highlight 4 games, right? Eventually, when we finish all our rankings, we're gonna do season predictions, right? That's gonna be when it's getting closer to preseason and all that. We're gonna do season predictions, and all 4 of us will be here. But let's start. I'm gonna go with you, Ace. I'm gonna go with you. Let me pull your schedule here. What four games are you looking for?
I think the first one that and this isn't in any particular order, but I think it's got to be the Chargers game to see Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert. You talking about the 2 top quarterbacks from last year. Obviously Joe Burrow got hurt, so we never got to see how the race would have ended up with both of them playing. But I think that's going to be an amazing game. Those 2 guys, I think that they'll be forever tied to each other. And then I think after that, the Chiefs, whenever you're playing the Chiefs, that has to be a game. And I think that's going to be a measuring stick for us because obviously the Chiefs are NFL elite. And then I'd probably say week 1. You're always looking forward to week 1. And I think the Vikings game I have to go with because it's Joe Burrow, who they just broke the news today. He's scheduled to make his start for week 1. It seems like all systems are go. So week 1, we haven't seen Joe Burrow for a while. He brought us a lot of excitement, and we were really getting ready for that second half of the season to crank up, and then he gets the injury. So there were a lot of us, even though the record wasn't great at the time, he was really starting to come on after that Titans game, and we really just wanted to see how the rest of it went. And so obviously with everyone checking when this guy has been throwing, all of this stuff, you want to know week 1 is definitely going to be, I think, a big one. And then I actually am going to pick a sleeper one. And obviously we're always looking forward to all of the division games, but I actually have to go with the Jacksonville game too, because you're talking about Trevor Lawrence versus Joe Burrow as well, the 2 number 1 draft picks from the last 2 seasons, and then are the number 1 overall draft picks from the last 2 seasons. And then it's on Thursday Night Football. It's our only primetime game at the moment. So those will be some of the games that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, you always look forward to division games, so don't take that as a slight, but it would probably be boring if I just picked all AFC North matchups for the 4 games. So those are probably the 4 games that I'm looking at to kind of evaluate and see.
Now, the one division game I think would be interesting for the Bengals here is going to be that game against Pittsburgh early on in the year for me, right? Because the biggest question about the Cincinnati Bengals right now is about that offensive line, right? If you're sold on it, you think that this team's going to be pretty good or at least better than people expect. If you're not, then that's where people kind of get more doom and gloomish about the Bengals. My big question about the Bengals, and I know Ace last week, he brought up a good point where he was like, yo, the Browns did beat the Bengals twice. They did get that sweep in, but those were two close games. They were two close games where they got it in. And what I like to point to as the difference in those two games in all reality was the two strip sacks Myles Garrett got in each game, right? He got a strip sack in one game that completely changed the momentum of the game. The Browns got the lead, never gave it up in the first one. And then in the second game, Myles got another strip sack late in the game, that ended up giving the Browns just enough time to win the game at the end. So that's the difference for the Bengals, right? They didn't have a problem putting up points with Joe Burrow. We know they're going to probably be able to put up points. They added Jamar Chase. If that works out, you're going to be able to put up a ton of points. The real question is the offensive line going to be able to hold up to avoid some of those turnovers that happens when you have a ton of quarterback pressures coming at your quarterback or QB hits or guys in your backfield a lot? And, as much disrespect as we thrown at the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, and as much fun as we had, and it's funny when Tony's not on the show is when I'm the nicest about the Steelers. But, they still are a very good defensive line. They still got Cam Hayward. They still got Stephon Tuitt, I believe. Like, they still got pieces there. Obviously, TJ Watt. We'll see what they do on the other side to replace Bud Dupree, but they always seem to have a solution there outside linebacker. This is a franchise that found James Harrison out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere. So, they always seem to be able to figure it out on the defensive line. And for the Bengals, like, that's going to be the barometer, right? If that offensive line is what Zim and Ace are telling me, it's going to be good enough, it's going to hold up, and it's not going to be a disaster, the Bengals could be one of those teams that go over 500, and if things shake right, they could make the playoffs. I know y'all thought I was a Bengals hater, but if that offensive line does not hold up, right, if things don't go right there, then you're talking about a lot of things not going the right way for the Bengals, right? Maybe you have Joe Burrow regress because now he has to have all these bad pocket habits because he's used to running out the pocket. Maybe things break down more often. Maybe you're putting wide receivers in bad positions and getting them injured. Like, these are all things that happen when you don't have the offensive line held down. And if that offensive line holds up against Pittsburgh, hey, you know what? Y'all were right. Riley Reif and Jonah Williams, that was enough, and Jackson Carmen, like, that was all enough, But if it doesn't, then you have to figure out what you're going to do on the fly and figure out how you're going to be able to do things about that offensive line, because I think that's really going to be the barometer for the Bengals. Defensively, we know they're not going to be a great team defensively, but we know that they can put up a lot of points. And if you put up a lot of points in the NFL, you could go 500 or over 500 or make the playoffs. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a great defensive team. The Browns weren't a great defensive team last year. They were 11-5. So, that's going to be the measuring stick in the barometer. I think that's going to tell you what kind of season the Bengals are going to have, and if the future for Joe Burrow is going to be him reaching his potential or him having to kind of hurdle obstacles all season.
Oh, it's definitely, just to piggyback off of that, it's definitely going to be a testing season for the offensive line. You just look at all of the teams on here and then think about the top edge rushers in the league. And literally a lot of them are on this list. You got the Bosa brothers, you got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, you got Khalil Mack week 2. Like, you got a lot of guys, Myles Garrett, like literally this is a schedule made up of some of the top edge rushers in the league. So that defensive line is definitely, or that offensive line is definitely going to get tested early and often throughout this whole schedule.
So it's
about Chris Jones too. Is it Chris Jones in Kansas City?
Chris Jones.
Yeah,
I mean, there's one for everyone. You can even start week 1 with Daniel Hunter. You got the Jags. You got Josh Allen. So it's literally no one with non-elite edge rushers, unless you count, the Ravens. Those are the only guys where we kind of get a break, but obviously they're going to in other ways.
The Ravens a break, man. We know the Ravens, they don't have elite pass rushers, but they got an elite committee, though. Like,
yeah, That elite committee.
They got that Greg Williams situation going on. It's like, look, baby, we just gonna blitz every play. We just gonna blitz every play.
All I'm gonna say is ask Ace how that committee worked last year against the
Hey, it did us. Yeah, y'all got us. Y'all got us.
Let me say this. Let me just say this. If you're a Bengals fan, I feel like this schedule is a perfect start. You get the Vikings, which they are a good middle tier team. They used to be a great defense. They're a solid defense. And offensively, still, they're solid, but they're not as good as they used to be when they were making the playoff with Stephon Diggs and all the other ones, right? Then you go to the Bears. Andy Dalton there. You can revenge Andy Dalton again. But not only that, that is your first test against their O-line, right? Bears defense is good. The offense is their problem, which is your offense. You consider it up to be a power offense against a top-tier defense. And where your defense is weak, that offense for the Bears not that great either, right? So that's essentially those two are good winnable games for the Bengals. And then you go to Pittsburgh, division game, right? It is on the road, but again, you come battle tested. That O-line from Chicago, the Steelers' defensive line is good, but it's not as good as last year when they had Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt, right? So if you can handle the Bears, you should be able to handle Pittsburgh. Now, the Pittsburgh offense, it is better than what the Bears can present on that offensive side. So, obviously, the Steelers team is better.
Unless Ben's noodle arm is back. I don't know. I don't know.
But the reality is these three games are games that you will see how your team's makeup is early. The O-line is going to be tested early. And it's a good progression from before the division game between two NFC teams. That if you have a hiccup, those are the games that you want to lose. NFC losses, they don't count as bad as AFC losses, right? So as the O-line gets gelling, it's going to be battle tested. And look, the Jacksonville game, that's good. It sucks that it's after the Steelers game because those games are always hard battles. But I think the first four games is a good first four stretch for the Bengals, and it will tell you a lot how this team is ready either to take a next step, even if they lose, if it was just battle, or if this O-line is going to be bad, guys, you're going back to top 5.
Not to take away from anything you said, Sonny, but the other weird part about this is I looked at the first couple of games the same way you did. It's like they have an opportunity to get off to a right start. And then you look at the Green Bay game, and you're like, it's possible that Aaron Rodgers might not be in that game. And then you look at everyone else on the schedule, they still could end up playing Aaron Rodgers because he might get traded to the Broncos or he might go to the 49ers. So it's like, even though you think that you might evade Aaron Rodgers, there's still a good chance that you could still end up playing Aaron Rodgers based off of the schedule because all the teams that have been linked to him as trade partners are all on the schedule. So that's the only thing that sucks about it. Let's just hope that he gets traded like week 5 and we get to go against, Jordan Love instead. So that's the other X factor too, is you never know what's going to happen with all those trades and stuff like that.
And the other thing is Thursday night at home, that always favors the home team or usually. And then you get Green Bay in that mini bye scenario, which also, to Green Bay is going to be tough regardless. But if you're going to play them, coming out of a mini bye or a bye at home, I guess it's as best as you can do. Okay, so let's do this. Before we go to the Browns, Q, tell us about our sponsor, man.
Oh, yeah. I know some of y'all have noticed I have my bright shirt on. It's got the pastel colors, the stripes. I'm ready for summer. Fat boy summer, whatever you want to call it. I'm doing it because, I got the vaccine. I'm ready to get out there and get going. But before I get going and get out there, I got to make sure I take care of my care parts. You know what I mean down there. And how do I do that? Well, I do Manscaped. Manscaped offers some of the best male manscaping and grooming equipment on the market. And again, you want to work with premium materials when you work with your premium section. They got that perfect package. They also have the Lawnmower 4.0. I just got it. It is dope. It's got wireless charging, USB-C. If y'all know what that is, that's dope because you could just have your one cord, right? This is my laptop cord. I could just have this cord, plug it into my laptop, charge my balls, charge my Manscaped, charge my tablet, charge my phone, charge my wireless charging, one cord to rule them all, and then you have a nice little wireless charging pad to just gently lay your premium manscaping material in Lawnmower 4.0 on, and it has those safeguards. You can shower, shave, poop. You know what I mean? The 3 S's. You could do it at the highest level. And now that we getting out of quarantine, everybody's ready to get whatever they're going to call their summer going on. You want to make sure that you do your manscaping at the highest level, and you could do that with Manscaped. And I got even better news, right? You heard all this great stuff about how Manscaped's going to help you trim them hedges and get everything going down at good prices. Well, you can get an even better price. Yes, premium materials at better prices. How do you do that? You use the promo code AFC North Talk. Not only do you help out this show, you help yourself and your boss. That's a triple win. That sounds like a triple crown, right? You know what I mean? That's a triple crown to me. You can win the Belmont, the Preakness, and the Kentucky Derby right there. Use promo code AFC North Talk at manscaped.com. You get 20% off. 20% off. Man, so get your situation right, get your stuff right, get your summer right, get your Manscaped going, and check out the Lawnmower 4.0, the new perfect package. I know they have coming out soon. You get a nice little carry bag with that. You know, you get a ton of benefits from going with Manscaped. So again, make sure you're not left out there in the rain. Make sure that you don't fumble the ball on 4th and 1 because you have some unsightly things going on down there. You know, close the deal. Don't throw red zone interceptions. Score the touchdown this summer, guys, because I'm trying to score touchdowns this summer. I know y'all trying to score touchdowns this summer. So make sure you score the ball, get it done, whether you married or not, because you still got to, you know, do your thing when you married too. You got to make sure you're nice too. Married, man. I know Ace and Sonny, they both married. They understand that well. You know, so do your thing. Don't fumble the ball on the 1 yard line, and don't disappoint yourself this summer. Get Manscaped, 20% off. And you get the premium stuff. Premium stuff, 20% off to make sure you don't fumble the ball. I mean, come on now. It's
a no-brainer. I'm gonna just let you guys know it might be too much information, but I used the 4.0 this morning. Definitely an upgrade. You upgrade your iPhone, go ahead and upgrade your lawnmower. Go from 3.0 to 4.0. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. It's a lot easier. I didn't want to slander the last one, but it's a lot easier when you live in that 4.0 life versus that 3.0 life. It's a lot faster of a process, if you know what I'm saying. It's a lot smoother.
It's rarely than an upgrade. It's not better. And, you know, you're getting the best of the best of Manscaped. So go check it out. Description, the promo code and everything is in the description below. Go check that out. Manscaped, promo code AFC North Talk.
Y'all don't need to know that, huh? Okay. All right.
Be a franchise quarterback this summer. Don't throw red zone interceptions. Manscaped will help you out with that. That's all I'm saying.
For Bengals fans and others, just put it in the chat. What game of that Bengals schedule are you looking forward to? What game is you like, okay, if you're a Bengals fan, it's like, oh, I'll go into this game. Cincinnati allowing fan space? I think they are, right?
Say that again.
Ohio's going to be at like 50% capacity.
Ohio's going to be 50%.
Yeah, I think, we still,
I think by the time we get to the season, they'll be at 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be 100% for sure.
Bengal fan, what game are you want to go there? Go check it out. I want to know that in the description below and then the comment section. Anyway, remember, super chats are available for questions and comments. Okay, let's talk about some Browns. The Brownies. What 4 games are you looking for, man?
And to be honest with you, I think the Browns probably got a very fortunate schedule the way this is lined up. They don't play any division games until like after week 7, you know, and then they get a Thursday night game at home to lead into the first division game. So like this is all very fortunate. And we're gonna talk about what I know the Raven fans actually have a gripe about with this. I know they had a lot of bad gripes last year, you know, complaints about the schedule because of their own misdoings in the building. But this year they did legitimately get screwed. We'll talk about that in a second here. But obviously the first game I'm gonna bring up is the Kansas City Chiefs, because the one thing, you know, I talked about the one thing that won the Browns the game versus the Bengals, and what they should show that they improved over the offseason was that offensive line, right? For the Browns, it was that secondary. They needed to improve that. they did a lot of things in the offseason to improve that. You got JOK, you got Greg Newsome, you signed John Johnson, you signed Troy Hill. You pretty much have an entire new secondary. You hope to return Grant Delpin, and you hope to return Greedy Williams, right? That's 6 dudes. That's 6 dudes you're expecting to play that did not play last year. Like, it's Denzel Ward and then everybody, Ronnie Harrison. Those are the only 2 that are really returning. And Ronnie Harrison didn't play until like week 10 really and get meaningful snaps last year. So that is going to be the test, right? The Kansas City Chiefs. Where's that secondary at? Now, is it going to be where it's at the end of the season? If they lose that game, if Kansas City beats them down, is that the end of the world? No, because for whatever reason, the worse the Browns do in that opening day game, the better they do in the season, right? The last 2 times they've had terrible opening experiences was the Ravens last year. They went 11-5, and the Steelers in 2007, where they got beat so bad we traded Charlie Fry to the Seattle Seahawks for a 7th-round pick. That's how you know you had a terrible opening day. They went 10-6 that year, right? So the opening game for the Browns is just one of those weird things that they have to get over eventually. And, if you do it against the Chiefs, that's going to be a big deal. And it's going to be a big test on the things that you hope to change in the off season. And then I'm going to jump to the weird portion of the schedule, right? Where they play the Ravens 12 in week 14 with a bye week in between. The Ravens management and Raven fans cannot, this is not like favorable for the Ravens, because the Ravens in that same stretch, and I know Sonny's going to talk about it, they go Browns, Steelers, Browns. That's rough. That's a rough situation. I think they go Sunday night and then they play a regular Sunday game, so it's technically a short week. Like, they're not really getting any bailout here, right? So that's going to be a rough stretch. But for the Browns, you play that Sunday night game in M&T Bank Stadium. If you win that game, you go into the bye week feeling good. Maybe you sweep the Ravens, maybe you don't. But for a fact, if you win that game and you sweep the Ravens, you feel really good about your chances to win the division. If you lose that game, which is likely, right? Because the Browns have not beaten the Ravens very often, even in the last 3 years with Baker Mayfield. I think they've only done it twice. So you lose that game in M&T Bank Stadium, you get that bye week and everything's on the line that next game because of the Ravens sweep you. It's the same deal, but in reverse, right? The Ravens will probably win a division, if they beat the Browns twice. That's just going to be what it's going to be, unless Pittsburgh still is good, which, we all have our doubts about. So that's going, and even then for the Ravens, they play the Steelers in between these 2 games. So this is going to be a nerve-wracking time. Like, this is not a time where you want injuries coming into that 3-week stretch for the Ravens, because that would be devastating. But the division's going to be on the line for the Ravens, and the division's probably going to be on the line for the Browns, right? This is a critical stretch, those 3 weeks, and the Browns have the advantage there because they have the bye week. So if this year they get swept by the Ravens, ain't no excuses. That's a massive disappointment. They need to at least split. So that's a pivotal stretch right there, and that's going to be something to where, again, Kevin Stefanski has to prove his mettle. Was he a one-year wonder at that head coaching position, or is he a guy who's going to stick around here? A guy who's going to stick around here can't have a bye week in between 2 games with the Ravens and lose them both. You know what I mean? So you gotta at least split. You gotta figure out a way to split there. Another game that I think is going to be very interesting is one that's a little bit off the wall. It's the Cardinals game, right? Because that game is in week 6, and I think how you can play against the Cardinals, right, will dictate how well this defense is built to do the things that it's built to do. And one of the things this defense is built to do is stop Lamar Jackson. Obviously, the games with Lamar Jackson is going to be pretty key. But how you do against Kyler Murray, it's going to determine, are you there yet? Because if you can't stop Kyler Murray, it's a wrap with Lamar. That's just what it is. They run very similar offenses. No team runs more than the Arizona Cardinals other than the Baltimore Ravens. And they're both like really high, and then everybody else is far but away from them. So that's going to be a barometer. A lot of the schedule is about fixing that wrong of last year. You can't get swept by the Ravens. You have to beat the Ravens this year. And if you can't beat the Cardinals or handle what they do or prepare against that, you're going to struggle against the Ravens again. And, that's the hurdle. They got to get over that, because I do think the Ravens are going to be very good this year. And I do think it's going to come down to probably the Browns and the Ravens at the end of the season. Maybe the Steelers can be thrown in there, but, I feel like the matchup problems are more severe with the Ravens. And that's the team you got to get over the hump with if you want to be able to do what you want to do this season. So, yeah, there's a lot of focus on the Ravens this season. So I got the Chiefs, I got the Cardinals game, got the Ravens game in there. What's another game that I think will be very interesting? Let's talk about the Bengals. Let's talk about the Bengals here. Right?
Yeah, before you say it, I was shocked that Ace, because last week a super chat triggered this, and like I said, I know you guys don't see. We have like an internal chat, and these two bad boys went at it after that stream. They went at it, and I was laughing. I mean, I had a good time. I told my wife, like, let me just make some popcorn here. I'm just gonna read this. It's very entertaining. So go ahead, Q. What about those Bengals?
Let's talk about the Bengals, right? Because one of the things the Bengals are going to presumably be able to do really well is be able to throw the ball in the middle of the field. That's another area where the Browns struggled. Another area where I think the Bengals could be much better in if they commit to it more is running the ball at the shotgun up the middle. Now, again, I believe the Browns have the talent that they should be able to overcome those things that the Bengals can do to win both of those games there against Cincinnati. But being able to stop those things, which you were not able to do last year, like nobody who watched the game last year against the Browns and the Bengals is going to be like, oh, the Browns really did a lot in the slot anywhere, because they were terrible in the slot both those games. So you hope the upgrade there does something. But again, it's another area where you get to test where you improve. You're gonna test where you improved against the Chiefs, right? Vertically, they're the best vertical team in the NFL. Nobody's going to debate that. They're a team that you literally can't blitz. With the Arizona Cardinals and the Arizona Cardinals are going to test you for the stuff that the Ravens do, right? They're a weaker version of a much weaker version of the Ravens. But they do similar things. You got to make sure you can handle that. Obviously, the Ravens, because that's probably where the division is going to go through. You got to win one of those games, preferably both. And then with the Bengals, they do a lot of stuff well in that short middle, mid-level part of the field. And you hope to improve that, right? That's why you got JOK. That's why you got Troy Hill. That's why you upgraded and kept Malcolm Smith and brought back certain guys and then, switched out others, right? Because you hope to be much better in the middle of the field. The Bengals tore up the middle of the field against the Browns. The Browns had no solution for T. Higgins literally just walked in once against the Browns, as a touchdown. So those are the areas of the defense that you committed to, that you wanted to fix this offseason, and that's where you have to prove that you fix those things, right? Don't let the Chiefs burn you over top. Don't let the Cardinals run all over you. Don't let Lamar or Kyler Murray run all over you. Don't let Joe Burrow, get all this time or be able to eat the middle so he doesn't even have to get sacked that much. You got to fix these things that were a pain in your side last year and improve on everything else. And I think that's where you'll figure out where this defense truly is.
Okay, before I go to you, Ace, let me read this super chat. Appreciate you, John. Appreciate
that, John.
I don't have questions. Just want to give you guys money. I appreciate that. Oh, and see, there's our trash. That's all. It made me laugh.
That's rough. Tony ain't even here to defend it.
I know.
I love it. Send in the anti-Steeler super chat so we can just read them without having Tony here to say.
Well, I mean, since it was brought up, right? Since somebody brought the question to the actual official AFC North law chambers, do we want to just vote this into the law? All for the Steelers being trash.
Definitely.
In general, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's a unanimous vote. It's going to clear through everything. So, it's AFC North talk law. The Steelers are trash.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So thank you for bringing that law up to the chambers, sir.
Facts. So for me, I think the Chiefs game, obviously with the Browns and the Chiefs and some of those teams being the AFC elite, you definitely want to watch that game. I'm for sure myself going to be tuned into that game to see what's going on, or to at least come back and rewatch it with the highlights and stuff like that. It's going to be an exciting game. You're talking about the Browns offense versus the Chiefs offense. And then you also have a reworked Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. So you want to see how that's going to work against Myles Garrett. And then you also want to see how that Browns defense is going to react that's been retooled against the Kansas City Chiefs, because I think that the goal is from the playoff loss last year to the Chiefs. I think the goal for the Browns were, hey, we need to get better on defense to be able to try to slow this offense down. And I think that we'll be able to see that week one, and then we'll be able to see it against Pat Mahomes. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup. Then you get to the Cardinals game. That was one that I was looking at too, like Quincy said. And the reason I say the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals, not many people have been talking about them, but I think that they're a dark horse to come out of the NFC for the Super Bowl. Obviously, you got the Bucs as the favorite. You also had the 49ers. I think the Cardinals are a sneaky team that could really move in there. You talk about them adding J.J. Watt. You talk about them adding A.J. Green. They've added a bunch of different guys. I believe they also added the running back Connor from the Steelers as well. So they're just loading up with veterans and different players there. So it seems like they're trying to go on a run. And then obviously you got DeAndre Hopkins. They also have Rondale Moore. So that could be a game where there's going to be potentially plenty points put up. The Chargers are another team. They always have like all of this talent, but they always get hurt. And I'm hoping by week 5, they still have some of those guys in there because I feel like we haven't seen Derwin James in like 2 years. It just seems like we haven't seen him, and it would be nice to see that matchup. And then you kind of want to see Baker versus Herbert. So I think that could potentially be a sneaky game there. And then like Quincy said too, the Ravens game. I think right now the favorites for the top of the AFC North are the Browns or the Ravens. Those games are going to be completely important, especially to this division. And you're going to have to see which team is going to come out on top. And I think that those will be some very interesting games to watch and see what happens, because I think the Browns and the Steelers, the Bengals usually just get blown out by the Ravens. And it's crazy because we went on like a streak of 5 wins consecutively. And then ever since they've drafted Lamar Jackson, they've gone on a streak of like 5 straight wins against us. But there's the need for a second team other than the Steelers to kind of step up and be that threat. And I think that the Browns could do it, but we'll have to see what happens in that game. And I'll just throw another one in there that's just going to be intriguing. I think the Patriots game is going to be intriguing just because, we saw what Cam Newton could do with that Patriots offense. We kind of got a tease of it, and then it was taken away. And then you're getting some of the players that opted out back. And I just want to see what Bill Belichick's like his like strategy is going to be for that Browns offense, because it's a potent offense. Like, it's hard to stop that ground and pound. So I literally just want to see like what Bill Belichick does. I'm not saying that the Patriots have a chance, but I think it's just intriguing to see where the Patriots are. Or is that going to be the time where Cam Newton's not even starting and they've got our boy Mac Jones in there? Like,
my goodness, yes, I knew you were going to go to that.
Like, I'm just going to say this: I can't see Bill Belichick, even though I was doubting him and saying that Brady needed some credit. I can't see Bill Belichick having 2 bad seasons back to back. And you got to remember, in free agency, they spent a lot of cash. So I want to see if the Patriots are going to really bounce back, and I think that that'll be a telling game for Bill.
People in Cleveland have seen Bill have 2 bad seasons back to back. But nonetheless, that's one of my worst nightmares is what Mac Jones coming out there and having the one good game he's going to have. And everybody's talking about Mac Jones, and I got to hear all these geeks who tried to tell me that Mac Jones was going to go top 3 overall. And all I was telling them was, ain't no way nobody trade up for no Mac Jones. And guess what? Ain't nobody trade up for no damn Mac Jones. The 49ers wouldn't even have to do it. They had the 12th pick. The man went 15th. Nobody was doing that. So, you know what? Before that game starts, because I know I'm going to get bad luck, the Tim Tebow thing going to happen with Mac Jones where he's sorry, man. He wins a couple of games here, right? Yes. But before we get to that point, I'm just going to say here, take my victory lap. Why did anybody accept that Mac Jones would be a top 5 pick? Who in the world was out here just accepting that was going to be with Kyle Shanahan? This is somebody y'all believe to be smart, and y'all just going to hear that and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Mac Jones makes sense for the 49ers. I told y'all it was going to be Trey Lance all summer. Well, all spring.
We said that on there.
I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking about, let me make it clear. None of y'all on AFC North Talk were really buying into the whole Mac Jones thing. But there are a lot of people on Twitter who are at my neck about this whole Mac Jones thing, and I get it. I get in a lot of sputes on Twitter. Make sure you follow me because sometimes it's entertaining. But yeah, these people were really at me like, Mac Jones is elite. You're gonna sound bad talking about this. He's gonna go number 3. I was like, there's no way. They're drafting Trey Lance. That's what makes sense for the 49ers. And guess what? I was right. Me and Kyle Shanahan were thinking alike. And you saw Kyle Shanahan at the press conference when they brought up Mac Jones. He was like, why would you think I would do that? Like, he was insulted at this notion that Mac Jones would go in the top 5. So please let that be Mac Jones starting for the Patriots. And he going to throw 3 interceptions and find a way to win, because the Browns last time they had like 4 fumbles against the Patriots and lost the game by like 6. Like it was just something stupid like that. It's always something stupid with the Patriots. But
my album. Who is Mac Jones coming soon? Who?
281-330-8004. Call Mac Jones. Oh, God.
So shout out to super chats here from Seb316. AFC North it's on top of the NFL now. Nobody wants it with our weather.
With our weather, that's facts.
Yeah, that is facts. Nobody. And it's funny because if you think about the North, like in the NFC North,
something trying to say go Browns.
Three. Yeah, go Browns. Yeah, I know. I was avoiding that. 3 teams in the NFC North are a dumb team. Anyway, so Quincy, what is your take on Schwartz? I say he burns the rest of the North. OBJ, Jarvis gonna be covered.
All right, man. I think we have discovered 2-3 years that we've been doing this show. Look, one of my pet peeves are when people get overzealous about these wide receivers that really ain't done nothing, right? Like, it ain't Anthony Schwartz's fault that he ain't done nothing. He's literally not played a game. But we've been through this with Marquise Brown. We've been through the arguments with Allen Robinson. Obviously, I have a problem when people hype
Allen Robinson has done things. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Allen Robinson's like decent, like, you know what I mean? But I don't think he's what y'all were saying he was at the time. But we've been through this with Jamar Chase. Like we're going through this right now, right? Like I obviously have a thing with wide receivers where I'm like, I feel like people hype up wide receivers like a little bit much, right? Like not saying that good wide receivers don't exist. I'm just saying sometimes we get a little overzealous, right? And I see the Anthony Schwartz thing. I see people talking about 4.25. I see people talking about Tyreek Hill. Let's let the young fella make the team first, baby. That's all I'm saying, right? Let's let the young fella learn how to run some routes, take some end rounds. I'm not expecting Anthony Schwartz to get over 200 yards this year, and I don't think anybody else should expect Anthony Schwartz to get more than 200 yards because he is a developmental project. This thing is going to pan out 2-3 years down the line. Maybe you have him run some deep routes, but do not put this in as Anthony Schwartz is going to be a big part of the offense in year one. He might not do anything in year one. Like third round picks, sometimes they just don't play. You know what I mean? So let's lower the expectation level on Anthony Schwartz. I know the 4.25 gets everybody excited, y'all. Yep. I understand it, but the man has like to develop ball skills. He's not a terrible route runner. He's just not the most consistent catcher of the football. These are things that are going to be because when we think of deep threats, we think of guys with good ball skills. That's one of the things you need to be a deep threat. So right now he has to develop ball skills. Right now he has to develop consistent hands, because nothing is more frustrating than wide open guy who doesn't have consistent hands. So look at Anthony Schwartz as a developmental player. Yeah, he might do some end arounds, he might return kicks and punts, but right now, Donovan Peoples-Jones is ahead of him in the line. Rashard Higgins is ahead of him. Obviously, Odell and Jarvis all ahead of him right now.
I hear on Twitter that you guys are cutting OBJ for Schwartz.
Well,
that's what the Brownie guys tell me. We don't need it.
I stay away. Look, if I see bad takes about wide receivers at this point, look, I just mute at this point, right? Like I hear it all. Maybe it's the Odell stuff that people always want to make up something about Odell that makes me just like go crazy about these wide receivers. But look, you have Odell and Jarvis, you have Rashard Higgins, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones is the guy you're probably going to be working in at the other X position. You're going to do some other things with Anthony Schwartz, but don't expect Anthony Schwartz to have a huge impact this year, because I don't want to see y'all get super excited about Anthony Schwartz and then be upset when they don't play him and then try to act like we got to trade somebody when we ain't playing him. This dude is not going to be ready this year. It's 1, 2, 3 years. Let that grow, right? It took the Ravens 3 years to put Hollywood Brown in the right position to succeed. Like, I expect Hollywood Brown to actually have a good year this year, because he is in the right position to succeed, where he's not the number one dude, but he can be the X receiver, and he can do a lot of other gadget stuff, because they got Rashad Bateman and they got Sammy Watkins for however many games they got Sammy Watkins, right? They got options now. Like, that's great for Hollywood Brown. That's what Hollywood Brown needs to be. Anthony Schwartz is a worse version of Hollywood Brown at this point, right? So he has to develop. He has to get there. You have to put him in the right situations. Let's just take it easy.
I'll follow up on that one.
Every time somebody says something about a wide receiver, it's got to be damn Julio Jones, damn Calvin Johnson, or Tyreek Hill. And it's like, y'all, like you could be Mike Wallace. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could be in between here. Like it's fine to be, a C+ or B student at this, but
see what it is Quincy. I got a lot of this, and this is what I warned Sonny about years ago with Marquise Brown. When you have a receiver that runs a 4.2, people like lose their minds. They're like, oh, he's just gonna be Tyreek Hill and this and that. I've been through that. So I remember being like, I wasn't the biggest John Ross guy when he came out. But even when we drafted him, I was like, oh, 4.22 speed. Who is going to stop that? There's no way this and that. And you're expecting that person to be Tyreek Hill. They take a guy every year, and it's like that. I think this year it was Jalen Waddle, a lot of people, which I think he has a decent shot. I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill, but it was Ruggs last year. It was Marquise Brown. Like, I'm tired of this guy as the next Tyreek Hill narrative.
By the way,
accept that there's just one Tyreek Hill.
So disrespectful when they do this to Tyreek Hill, because here's the thing about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is an excellent receiver who just happens to be super fast. Like, being super fast is not why he's solely successful. He's an excellent route runner. He has freakish ball skills and elite hands. Like, you talk about a dude who's 5'8", who can get 50-50 balls because of his strength and his athletic ability. Like, that's what makes Tyreek Hill special. And then he is super fast and also quick. A lot of dudes are fast, but they ain't quick. Anthony Schwartz is fast. He's not quick. He doesn't come in and out of breaks. The DK Metcalf is similar to that, right? Where DK can blaze 4.38 and he's huge and he has good ball skills, but he's not quick. So when we just boil down Tyreek Hill to short fast and we just take every short fat Rondale Moore, that's going to be the next Tyreek Hill. This is so disrespectful to Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek is like, yo, do you think all I do is run fast?
I agree. So, Soul Train, shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Last 2 years, it felt like the Browns kept losing winnable games against the Raiders. A Raiders game. So many bad calls / no calls with that streak and.
It should, but yeah, it's just the Browns have a weird history with it. I don't know if you guys have teams like this that aren't in the division where it's just like every time you play them, something incredibly weird happens. Like last year, the Browns were going to play the Raiders, and there was like a weather delay and then 80-mile-per-hour winds off the lake. Like it was one of the weirdest games I've ever experienced. So I'm just going to expect something weird. That game's late in the season too. Yeah, and it's in Cleveland. Look, there's going to be something weird going on with that game.
Okay, and then Jake says, "Shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Real question, Q. Philly grabbed Ryan Kerrigan for up to $3.5 million. You think this might have been a miss for the Browns? I definitely do. I would say it was a miss for the Ravens, but go ahead, Q.
Yeah, I don't think it's a miss for the Browns, because the Browns, they have enough dudes on 1-year prove-it deals at the edge rush position. Like, if you wanted to bring somebody in, that opportunity was in the draft. Now, ultimately, they didn't think anybody was there worth taking, at their picks at the edge rush position, or worth, missing out on other guys for, so they didn't go that way. But, you got enough dudes on 1-year deals. Like, what if all these 1-year deals work out, right? Takk McKinley works out. He has a good year. He could sign somewhere else, because you're not going to be able to re-sign him. Jadeveon Clowney sign somewhere else. The problem with the Browns right now isn't the depth for this season. It's the depth for the future, right? That's what I want to see, right? Because next year, what's the solution at the edge rush position? You're going to be put in this spot again where, you got to draft the edge in the first round, because you don't got any other edge on the roster, really. So that was the opportunity for the Browns to add another edge. I'm not really a fan of adding another dude or adding another veteran in the edge room, because, at this point, you got enough veterans.
Yeah. Let me give you my quick take before we move to the Ravens. I think the Chiefs game is going to be a great game, right? Great game. We know how the playoff went. Very close game. And then the Browns have the potential here to be, in my opinion, 5-1 as the season starting. The Chargers game, that's going to be a tough one because it's away. If it was at home, I would have given them a W. But I think the Browns are a better team than the Chargers. And the NFC North, basically the Browns get the stretch of the NFC North there. all those should be W's for the Browns. So this schedule is set up for a way that they should start hard. The Cardinals team, I agree with all you guys. That is a team that it's going to be better. And then there's a stretch there. You got the Broncos at home. I think if it was away, it would have been a harder game. At home, you get the Steelers. That's the first division game at home. And then you get the Bengals. I think the schedule, it was like if you are building your schedule, this is one of the best schedules that you can build for the Browns. And I'm not going to talk about the Ravens because I'm going to say it now with the Ravens here. By the way, before we talk about the Ravens, make sure you hit that like on this video.
Yeah, hit that like, or we're gonna start talking about the NFC North. I need more likes. We need more likes. We see how many people are in here. We got to get more. 282 people watching and only 95. Unless you want us to start talking about the NFC North or the NFC East, or worse than that, we will start talking about the WNBA, and that's not a sexist joke, but we'll start talking about whatever we want to. If you guys do not get those likes up, I need them likes up, people.
It's going to turn into an Ace Boogie shoe podcast. Y'all want to hear Ace Boogie talk about shoes? Hit the like button.
We can talk about cards. We can talk about all kind of stuff. But
it's going to be Ace Boogie flexing his PS5 for an hour and a half. Just have him out here. You're not even seeing the game he's playing. You're just watching him play his PS5. Like, he's not even talking.
Real story, when the PS5 was coming out, Ace would tell us, hey, today I got 3 PS5. And then the next day, it's like, I got 2 more PS5. And we were here trying to look for PS5. Ace had like a stack.
He's still doing it. He got the PS5 headphones on right now. Ain't those the PS5 headphones? He don't need those. He got the headphones. I know he's got like 40 headphones. I've seen him wear 40 headphones on this show. He brought out the PS5 headphones. He's just so y'all know what I'm on. Like, this is what it is, right?
If you know, you know.
Let me go here with the super chat real quick. The Q. Do you think the Browns will ever have orange jerseys again?
I mean, one day probably, right? Like, eventually they'll have orange jerseys again. It's just, I don't know. They never like going to them, right? They had orange jerseys with that terrible set of jerseys they got in 2015 that actually looked pretty decent. Never went to them. They went to them like once or twice in the Johnny Manziel, I hesitate to say era, but the two years where he was playing games, they went to the orange jerseys. And then they went to it like once or twice in the Butch Davis era when they had those orange jerseys. And look, as long as Baker Mayfield's your quarterback, I don't think he's going to like the ideal of wearing like burnt orange jerseys because he's a dude from Oklahoma. He's not really a fan of the University of Texas. And, the Browns orange looks pretty similar to Texas orange. So he's probably not going to do it. So, that's one of those things where I just don't see it happening in the future. Would I like to see it happen? Probably not, because I don't think they're going to use the combinations right. We'll probably be out there in like all orange or something goofy like that. Like, they won't do like orange and like the brown, the pants like they should. Like the Bengals like to do the orange and the black. They won't do that because they'll be too close to the Bengals. It'd be like one of those reverse Paul Brown things. So they probably won't, man. Like I don't see the orange. Like, we got the orange pants back. That's all we can hope for.
Okay, so let's talk here about the Ravens. Oh, before that, 2 things. For WNBA, Elena Delon, best WNBA player.
Hold on. We're not about to be disrespectful.
Shout out to my guys, the Wizards, playing in the tournament game today. Shout out to them beating the Boston. I can't watch that game today, but go get the jump done. Okay,
We're not about to be disrespectful to Diana Taurasi, the Kobe of the WNBA. Ace. We're not about to be disrespectful.
Real talk, that was just a joke, but please support the WNBA for sure. Like, in all seriousness.
Okay, so Ravens schedule. Guys, I think this is one of the worst schedules the Ravens can get. Look, are the Raiders going to be this great team? I don't think nobody expects them to be this great team, but you get the home opener of their stadium opener, and the Ravens are coming, right? So obviously, the worst game that you can pick to play the Raiders is this game. It's week 1. Their stadium's going to be open, primetime game. So not only that, we go short week to Kansas City. Right? So not only that, I'm sorry, Kansas City comes to Baltimore, but we go in the short week against Kansas City is what I meant. Okay, and then in my opinion, we get a break. We get the Lions, we get the Broncos. Broncos not a pushover, but there's more things to come. The Colts, I think they're going to be a good team, depending how Wentz does. But if Wentz becomes that guy like he was, semi-decent guy, the Colts should be a good team. They were a playoff team last year. But the highlight of the schedule this year, look, right after the Bears,
This is
you
terrible.
get
Hopefully that's Justin Fields.
This is a
you
awful
get
schedule.
these 4 games here, right? You get Brownies at I said a home game. Yeah, it's a home game, I think, for the Ravens. Yeah, home game, right? So the Ravens need to win this game. They need to win this game. And I agree here with Quincy. If for some reason the Browns let the Ravens sweep them, and it could happen, I'm not saying it's impossible. But when the Browns get the gift of having Ravens by Ravens, you cannot do worse than splitting. You can't. If you go and get swept, the Ravens are feeling not a little good. They're feeling pumped their chest good, right? So, and not only that, you squeeze the Steelers game because look, even if the Steelers are bad, which I don't think they're gonna be a pushover, the Ravens and Steelers games are always tough. So the Browns get a bye. And in that bye, the Ravens have to go away to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers so they can play again the Browns the next week in Cleveland. In Cleveland. I mean, this schedule is crazy. I mean, this if you go and put the Browns in the Ravens schedule, right? And assuming opponents are the same, but let's just assume that all opponents are the same. I know there's 1 or 2 opponents that are different, but let's just the basically same opponents throughout. You can the Browns schedule is definitely has an easier path than the Ravens. The Ravens are going to be battle tested for sure. Obviously, I'm expecting them to compete, to contend. But these 4, because after you go there and play the Brownies, then you still have Green Bay. If Green Bay has Rodgers, that's no pushover game. That's gonna be another hard game. So for me, this is it. This is it, man. From the Browns to the Green Bay, obviously we have to have a good record to that point. But these 4 here, that is the season for the Ravens. Yeah. That is the season because, and for the Ravens, the ideal scenario, obviously the ideal scenario is to win it all, right? Ideal is 17-0. But if you can split here with the Browns and take care of the Steelers, that will be like you came out great. You came out great. Yeah. But
you said ideally you guys can go 17-0.
No, I'm saying like in a perfect world, that's what you want, 17-0, right?
No, you're not doing that again.
Yeah.
I don't think was it you that went 15-1 last year?
Yes.
15-1?
No, I went.
No, I think you went 14-2. No, because they went 14-2 the year before. You said I think you did go 15.
No. You did 15-1.
No. We can go back.
Joe went undefeated.
17-0.
I know Joe Nubo for a fact went undefeated. No. I remember that. He had to shave his head.
I remember. So for me, I remember saying that they were gonna go a little bit worse. I think I might have picked 3 losses because I said 14-2 is too hard to repeat, and I think I might have gone with 3 or 4 losses last year. But regardless, my point here is this is the season for the Ravens here. Definitely. Obviously, the division, 2 Brown games, and it's tailor made for the Browns to take over the division in these 3 weeks, right? Because even if let's say the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns are competing, right, and to that point that's week 12, and they're all tight, they can take the dagger to the Ravens in those 3 weeks, right? They can swept them, and I don't know who the Browns played the week before. The Ravens play Chicago in Chicago, so not that the Bears are a great team, but that defense is good. We go back to being a good defense, so it's going to be a tough game. Regardless if they win, it's going to be a hard, tough game. And then the Browns. So for me, that again, I would say that is the season for the Ravens. If the Ravens come through those 4 games, 3-1, they're looking great for the playoffs. Even if they go 2-2 in that stretch, they're looking good for the playoff. 1-3, well, now you have to lick your wounds. Hopefully you did great in the first 11 weeks. And depending what losses are you taking, you might have your division loss. But I don't know. Ace, what do you think about this?
I think some games that stick out to me. I think the biggest one is week 2 against the Chiefs. They've kind of been the Achilles heel and we haven't seen the matchups that we really wanted between the Ravens and Chiefs. So I think that that's always a big one. The Rams one is huge. I mean, I don't know what the ramifications are going to be by that point for both teams. They both play in competitive divisions, though. And that Week 17 game against the Rams, I think is going to be interesting because you're talking about possibly the best defense in the NFL in the Rams versus Lamar Jackson. I think that that's just going to be – I really want to see that game. You know, Aaron Donald, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Ramsey, like that game is going to be crazy.
We faced them once with that defense.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. I mean, but now you got Matt Stafford there. Like things have changed in both areas. You guys have Bateman now. You know, they have Matt Stafford. We'll see if that offense is humming. I mean, I'm not gonna be the guy we said in the show. I'm not the guy that thinks Matt Stafford is a top 10 quarterback. But he's definitely better than Jared Goff. So I really want to see that matchup. Just is it going to be a defensive fight? Like what's going to go on there? That's something that I'm intrigued with. I mean, you look at that Colts game. I think that that's another good game because you're talking about two good defenses facing off with each other. Would love to see how that kind of goes out. If I'm not mistaken, who's the quarterback for the Colts now? It's Wentz. So that might go your way because Wentz was not that good last season. But that defense was pretty good. I remember I wasn't a believer in it early on. But I think they ended the season pretty solid. So I'm interested to see that one. And then I already talked about earlier, you know, kind of the Browns game. But I think you made a great point, Sonny, that once you get to that stretch there, and Miami, you got to remember Miami's a good team too. Mm-hmm. The Thursday night football game, and then you go into Sunday, and then you go – yeah, that stretch is kind of brutal. So I think that those games are interesting as well.
Okay. Before I go to you, Q, let me get here a super chat from Tanya. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for the super chat. Schedulers set Ravens up on purpose. The schedule is ridiculous. Browns, then they get the bye to prepare for us. Then Browns again. They want us to fail. Okay, Q. I'll let you talk about this Ravens schedule.
All right, let's not get too dramatic. Yeah, you got a rough deal this year, but remember last year y'all had like 6 games at the end of the season. I was like, how could you lose any of these games?
Nobody's talking about last year.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Sometimes the schedule rolls in your favor. Sometimes it's not a conspiracy theory.
I will say this before Q talks. The last 2 years, Ravens schedule has been good.
Yeah, the Browns are probably gonna get screwed next year. Maybe it's gonna be the Bengals or Steelers. Like,
we got screwed this year. We got really the Steelers did, but according to winning percentage, the Bengals and the Steelers are in the top 5 for the hardest schedules. I think the Steelers are like number 1.
Yeah, because the Bengals got unfortunate that a really good team just stunk and went in 4th place the one year, right? Where it was like the 49ers. The Browns end up getting like the Cardinals. But it's like the Steelers, they did that to themselves, man. They wanted to win 1st place. That's it, and be sorry.
But someone also was saying, and I don't know how much this contributes to it. They said since all of the teams in the AFC North were good last year, that kind of skewed the numbers a little bit. Every team except the Bengals, obviously, but all the other teams were good in the AFC North. So some people were saying since you have to double that, it kind of skews it a little bit. But that's why the Steelers and the Bengals are at the top.
Well, I mean, excuse it, but it's also true. You have to play those teams twice.
Right, exactly.
It's just whenever you're in a tough division, your schedule is going to be hard regardless. Last year they played the NFC East. It wasn't a cakewalk schedule, and that was like the worst division in football. We talk about the Baltimore schedule. Look, that game against the Vegas Raiders, look, I'm interested to see what that home dynamic is going to be like against Las Vegas because it's a West Coast game. And it's
gonna be like a Steelers game.
Yeah, well, it ain't gonna be like Pittsburgh ain't got nothing going like Vegas.
They'll travel well, just like they're traveling fans.
It's gonna be interesting because I want to see what the dynamic is. Because you look into other sports, right? And you look at like hockey, right? One of the things with that Vegas expansion team that became evident was that home field advantage was a very real thing in Las Vegas, and it tends to be a very real thing. And it's week 1. It's right after Labor Day weekend, and it's Vegas in September. And I don't know if any of y'all been to Vegas in September, but it's going. It's pretty fun.
Not only that, cute. Yeah. There's the first team ever in that stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be the first team ever, and it's going to be all open. for the first time in quite a while. So, I expect the Ravens, though, to be able to handle that maturely like they did with the coronavirus last year, right? Then they all right. But Sonny talked a lot about that stretch. But the benefit of having all those games cramped up like that, and I'm not being facetious here when I say benefit, but the benefit is that the Ravens, if they have one thing on this team they need to figure out, it's the offensive line. At least you get time, right? Like, you're not playing anybody who's going to dominate you. Like, we don't know if the Broncos are going to be what they used to be on the defensive line, because I don't know where Von Miller is at anymore. The Colts are a regular good defensive line. You're going up against a Bosa brother, but, it's not like the Chargers are so overwhelming that they should be able to dominate you. The Bengals, I'm not going to throw any more dirt than I need to on them. I made them mad enough. But, Trey Henderson, like, these aren't elite defensive ends that they have over there. Same thing with Minnesota, Miami. And then you go and you have a very rough stretch where that defensive line, the offensive line needs to have it together. Like, right when you get to Chicago in week 11, if that offensive line ain't got it together, right? If Andy Villanueva ain't got a hold on right tackle, and we'll see how that project goes. If Tyree Phillips is not ready to play guard, if these things aren't cohesive, it's going to sink your season, because the Bears have a really good defensive line. The Browns have Clowney and Garrett. And then we know the Steelers are still going to have a good defensive line. You come back and you play the Browns. The Packers have a good defensive line. It's not anything overwhelming, but Zadarius Smith might want to get some payback if he's still on so he wants to get some payback on his old team. You get the Bengals, but then you get Aaron Donald, and then you get the Steelers again. So a lot similar to the Bengals, right? A lot of the Ravens season is going to be on that offensive line. And if that offensive line is decent by week 11 and they got it going to the point that they're not going to be a detriment, hey, Ravens going to make the playoffs. They're going to contend for the division, and they might make it to the AFC Championship game or even the Super Bowl, or, all things are going to be on the table for the Baltimore Ravens. But if they get to week 11, week 12, week 13, and that offensive line is struggling, you're going to be in a bad position where you're going to drop some games that are going to be critical to your playoff positioning. And how they perform week 11 against the Bears, right? That offensive line, that's going to be kind of the barometer to how they're going to go for this whole stretch. Because, the defensive line, you lose to the Bears, whatever, that's not going to tank your season. But if that defensive line, if the offensive line is an issue against the Browns, the Steelers, and the Browns again, that 3-game stretch can end it all right there. End all your playoff hopes right there if you don't get it. So that's going to be key for the Ravens, right? And then the benefit of all of this, if you want to see this glass half full, Raven fans, I'm trying to help y'all be optimistic, is that you get time to get all of that together, right? The Bengals, they get like 3 games until that gets tested against the Steelers. But for the Ravens, they get a nice, smooth 10, 11 games and the bye week, right? So at least you're able to work that in there. You're able to work out the kinks, because you don't want the offensive line failing you, when you play that stretch of 3 games there. So you're going to have to at least the best opportunity to have your offensive line intact. Well, not intact, but at least gelled. Maybe by that point, Ronnie Stanley going to be back to being full Ronnie Stanley after the ACL injury. A lot of questions on the offensive line. So at least you get time before it becomes a critical situation.
I don't disagree. That is looking things half full. Let's do some real quick here in the Steelers. Let's do the Steelers real quick. Ace.
Yeah, sure. Let's get it.
Maybe a quick game or two that you find interesting.
I think week 1. I just want to see if Ben still has a noodle arm or not. Week 1, but in all seriousness, obviously against Josh Allen, that's going to be a tough game for the Steelers. I don't know if their opening is at home. I can't see the graphic. Is
no. It's at Buffalo. At Buffalo.
At Buffalo. Oh, that's an L. I'm gonna just keep it real. That's an L. Let's say so they got some interesting stuff going on here. The Seahawks game, obviously, when you're going against Russell Wilson, that's gonna be a pretty primetime game there. Kansas City Chiefs, that's an L, but that's going to be interesting to watch.
God.
And then, obviously against the Bengals week 3, I'm ready to see that. Let's get it on. Last time it was Corvette. Let's see what's up week 3. But in all seriousness, this is a hard ass schedule. Like
this is rough.
The Vikings, they don't get any breaks from what I can see. They just gotta hope that in week 4, Aaron Rodgers gets traded, because there are a lot of potential tough matchups for them, especially we've been talking about the defensive line. Some people believe that the Steelers may potentially have the worst offensive line in the division, and so they're gonna have to do a lot against these guys. I mean, they could possibly win the Raiders game. I'm looking at the beginning, maybe the Broncos win too, maybe the Green Bay game, and then after that, it just gets brutal. It's pretty brutal from what I'm seeing here.
It's rough. They get Tennessee,
that's
the
tough.
Kansas City Chiefs, the Browns, and then the Ravens.
Is this the Big Ben tour, the Big Ben farewell tour? This might get ugly.
And that's what's rough, right? Because I have full confidence that Big Ben throughout the first 10 weeks of the year probably going to still be decent, right? Because he was pretty decent last year at the beginning portion of the season. I don't think it's going to carry over how bad he was from last year. But I do think what happens with Ben is that he wears down. Like, he's old. He just wears down at this point. And they ask him to throw a ton of balls. And I know Tony's convinced that Matt Canada is going to come in there and change everything. But Ben has like an 18-year history in the NFL. And as long as he's been Ben Roethlisberger, dude we respect at the quarterback position, he's thrown the ball 45 times. So until that changes, I'm not going to believe it. Like, I know Steelers fans are telling me they going to rub play-action boots and do all this stuff. I have never seen Ben Roethlisberger do in his entire career and just suddenly start doing it in his 30s, his late 30s. I just don't know if I buy that, and that's rough there, right? Like, because it could be going good. I can see a scenario where they're pretty decent heading into like week 11 or 12, but you get the Ravens, you play the Vikings, who aren't the toughest team in the world, but they're still a good team, and you get Tennessee, Kansas City, Browns, Ravens, and that's going to be when you're trying to fight for playoff positioning, if that's something that you're trying to do there. So that's rough. This is rough for the Steelers. I'm not going to lie to y'all, because this is the kind of schedule that gives you hope at the beginning and then crushes you at the end.
The other thing we kind of let them off the hook on is they have no corners. Like, who is playing corner? We did not bring that up at all.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was about to say that when you're talking
corners.
about they better hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't play against the Steelers. I'm like, dog, who they gonna have? Who they have out there? Yeah, they got.
Like, the only
they're
time
gonna have Joe Hayden
against Detroit, because Detroit has nobody.
What's the wide? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. What's the wide receiver in Green Bay?
Devontae Adams.
They're gonna have Joe Hayden on Devontae Adams, and Joe Hayden's like, he got drafted 11 years ago, man. Like, he's old for a corner. Like, and he ain't Charles Woodson or nothing like that. Like,
he wants that.
Yeah, and that's their best guy. Like, that's their best option there. And then when you start to spread them out, which I know teams are going to do regardless, like,
who is their corner after Hayden? Like, does anybody? Like, I legit don't know. Like,
like where I'm gonna give the Bengals some credit there. Like, the Bengals, like, their one answer against what the Ravens could do. I mean, not the Ravens, the Steelers can do defensively is just spread it out. Like, I don't think you're going to see a running back in the backfield at all against the Pittsburgh Steelers when the Bengals go out there, because they're going to have Jamar Chase. We're going to spread it out 5 wide, maybe trips left. Yeah. We're going to have all these little funky formations, no tight ends, no nothing. We're going to make you trot Justin Lane out there and see if Justin Lane can cover, because you ain't got no. These are things you could do against the Steelers because they don't got DB depth.
I don't even think didn't he get in trouble?
If the O-line, the Bengals can hold on.
I mean, if Justin Lane is there or not, it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah,
they gonna have Tony out there by week 3. Tony gonna be out there trying to cover.
But the reality is,
they're gonna try to have Ace out there. Like, well, the team, brother. Like, we just need somebody to help match up.
If the
Mike Tomlin gonna have Mike Tomlin
could never put on a Steelers jersey.
Mike Tomlin gonna be like, do it for the ancestors, Ace.
So if the O-line for the Bengals can hold on, definitely it's an interesting game. I would say the favorable matchup here that the Steelers get is the Browns game here, right? Because they're coming off a bye, unless the Browns have a bye at 7.
No, nothing for the Steelers is favorable. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no, maybe the Detroit game.
if that were a
not,
game,
not against the Browns. The
Yeah.
Browns are one of
No.
the top
Ace,
teams in the
Ace.
division.
My point is,
well, you're saying
we're
like they
gonna
have
play
the
the
bye week. At least they get that fortune
Yeah.
before they
Bro,
play.
they
But
can
it's
prep
still
for
a game.
3 weeks. They are going to get murdered in that game.
But also one thing to notice is that game's in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I know Steelers
Yeah.
fans are used to
And-
these weird streaks. You know what I mean? But they haven't beat the Browns in Cleveland in like 3 years.
Yeah. So the Browns played.
Well, no, 4
before that game. I'm just saying the Browns are gonna be a great team. I'm just saying if you have to play them, the best time to play them is before the bye.
After a bye, yeah. I mean, when Marvin Lewis has been your coach, we're not used to good coaching, obviously, because with Marvin Lewis, it was just like a bye was never your advantage. But with Tomlin, in his defense, he is a good coach, so he'll probably have them ready. But in the Marvin Lewis era, that bye weeks didn't matter. Bye week prep didn't matter.
I remember when Hugh Jackson was here in Cleveland, and we used to get nervous when them bye weeks or like them long weeks would happen because Hugh would start talking about these plays he's going to add in. It'd be like, oh, goddamn, Hugh, don't do it. And then like you'll get off the bye week and you playing the Detroit Lions, and you know what Hugh Jackson does? He does a QB sneak from the 4-yard line. He's like, I drew it up in practice. It worked. You're like, oh, Hugh. Like he would just draw up, or like I hated this play. I know you guys saw this in Cincinnati because I think it actually worked. He would do this thing where like there would just be the center, and then everybody would, like, what are you doing? We are sorry, like we can't execute none of this. Like we have legitimately one dude. I think what was he? Joe Batonio. Yeah, Joe Batonio and Myles Garrett, and Myles was not really playing that much the year they went on 16. Those are only 2 dudes left from that team. That's how sorry that team was. There were no hanger-ons, no special teams guys, no guys getting a chance that were scrappy and made it on there. They had bums out there. And I know Hugh Jackson does not get a fair shake sometimes because he coached them bums, but some of the stuff he had them bums out there doing, I was like, Hugh, baby. You coaching a mid-major right now. We can't be doing any of this. Like we got what's his name out here? Kevin Hogan at quarterback. Like we ain't doing no options. We're not doing no RPOs. What are you doing? We got to keep this thing simple and get the ball to Duke Johnson. Like
I remember what was it? The kid that from Notre Dame that you guys drafted. That I remember people were like, "Oh, this
Deshaun Kaiser." The man came in and said it. He had the most confidence in the world. This man legitimately, he got drafted. His first press conference, he said, "Well, I like to think of myself mentally like Tom Brady, but physically, I'm Cam Newton." This came out of his mouth the first game, and then by the time he left Cleveland, he was like, "I'm just hoping to hang on to a team." Like it humbled him to the point to where it destroyed his development. Like, I saw him come in a game in Green Bay, and you don't remember Deshaun Kaiser. His thing was turnovers. By the way, Manscaped 20% off. You don't want to turn over any opportunities this offseason. Don't be Deshaun Kaiser. Get them balls clean, baby. 20% off on manscaped.com. Use code AFC North Talk. I'm selling when I'm not selling. But Deshaun Kaiser's thing was always these red zone turnovers. He'll get you down the field fine, but he'll always throw these turnovers in the red zone. He got an opportunity against the Green Bay Packers, with the Green Bay Packers. I remember watching like, oh, Deshaun looks good. Oh, this is good for his development. Then he got to that red zone. He threw an interception. They got a turnover back. He was in the red zone again. He fumbled the ball. Like, same old Deshaun Kaiser, baby. Butterfingers galore. 3 turnovers in 5 minutes. That is Deshaun Kaiser right there.
That is sad. That is very, very sad. Anyway, guys. You guys know, what do you guys think about the schedules? Make sure you put it in the comments. Make sure you put it now in the chat. Also, remember, follow us on Twitter because from next week on, and it's going to get lit, we're going to go position ranking in the AFC North. And we obviously going to end up it's going to be a series of videos with our predictions for the season. So you have to subscribe. You have to hit that bell so you know when we go live. And not only that, you have to follow us on Twitter because we're going to put a poll. What position do you want us to rank first? The poll will be there. Make sure you vote, and that's the position that we're gonna take for next Tuesday. Ace, where they can find you, bro?
You guys can find me at New Stripe City on Twitter and on Instagram. Also on YouTube at New Stripe City. And then if you also are a Bengals fan and you're listening to this and you want to support a local brand, LFG Cincy. A lot of people ask me where I get my hats and stuff from. So lfgcincy.com. Use the promo code ACE at checkout. It helps us out. And then obviously you need to subscribe to this channel. And you also need to follow us on Twitter. I believe the @ is at AFC North Talk. Is that correct, Sonny?
It's at AFC North _talk.
So make sure that you follow us on Twitter. We're trying to really grow that and communicate with you guys on there. We had some funny activity on there. So definitely be sure to do that. And that's where we get all our polls and stuff. And then hit that subscribe button here and hit the like button, or else next week we're going to be talking about professional bowling. I'm not playing. Like, we need to get those likes up. I think we need about 100 more. You guys helped me out before, but I need you to keep liking this video because that'll keep us from talking about professional bowling next week. But yeah, you guys can catch me here for sure.
By the way, watching darts, professional darts, it's
and
underrated.
Quincy looks like a professional bowler right now with that shirt on.
Ooh, I was wondering when you was going to try to get it in. With your camouflage shirt you had in. Like, that's why Ace was ready for war in those DMs last week. He had the camouflage on. He was listening to Destiny Child Soldiers. Like, I'm a soldier. What you talking about? I'm a sissy soldier. Who they nation? He was ready to bomb me over them damn. Last week. Right. I was waiting for it, Ace, this whole time. I was waiting. I was like, say something about my shirt, Ace.
They was flaming me last week.
but hey, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Steelers fans out here because y'all sound like Browns fans from 3 years ago, just saying sorry stuff all the time, just obviously in y'all feelings. It's fun to watch y'all be us because you sound like losers right now. You know what I mean? Y'all talking about Highsmith, like who? Like, okay, you putting them in all caps, baby? I guess, you know what I mean? But shout out to the Steelers fans. Y'all have done y'all thing this year. Y'all have fully transitioned into being sorry. Y'all haven't even been sorry yet. Y'all were 12-4 last year. I don't know why y'all think y'all so sorry, but y'all acting real sorry. Y'all acting sorry right now. Y'all just acting like, sorry little fans. Respect the Bengals fans. Y'all been out this week. Y'all been out this month. Y'all been out for a while, actually, ever since them new jerseys. Y'all been feeling it. Y'all feeling good. Y'all out here pumping your chest out. Raven fans, man, y'all hilarious. I love Raven fans because y'all are just so ridiculously over the top sometimes. Y'all believe in y'all squad and y'all are always optimistic even when your wide receiver room was garbage. Y'all still out there like
17-0. Ideally.
Ideally. Hey, look, man, you got to respect that. You got to respect some point. You got to respect it. You got to respect it. See, the man says 17-0. I got to respect this with Raven fans. Y'all are so optimistic, and I get why y'all are, because the first time y'all went out to draft, y'all got Ray Lewis and Jonathan Ogden. Why would they not be optimistic, right? So, you know what? Shout out to Raven fans. Shout out to Bengals fans. Bengals fans are optimistic. I hope y'all don't get crushed this year. I really hope y'all don't have a bad season. Like, I hope nothing happens to Joe Burrow. Like, I really hope y'all have a good season. Y'all do deserve it. Raven fans, y'all know what it is, man. Y'all gonna hype up all these little wide receivers that y'all got. Yeah. Like, I like Rashad Bateman, but I promise you, by the time we get to August, y'all gonna say something off the wall about Rashad Bateman. They're gonna make me have to hate on the man to bring it back down to normal. They were like, Rashad Bateman. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna rank the Ravens #1 in wide receiver when they know that's a damn lie. Like, we know how y'all get, man. Y'all want the wide receiver so bad. By the way, I love it whenever a wide receiver is available and Raven fans start getting excited. Julio Jones, y'all did that thing before the draft. Y'all do y'all thing with the wide receivers, man. I hope one day y'all get it, but I don't think it's gonna happen until like a couple of years, because then that's when Rashad Bateman's gonna work out. But shout out to y'all. Y'all been fun on Twitter. Raven fans, Steeler fans, well, Raven fans and Bengal fans, Steeler fans. Y'all kind of like acting like fans of sorry teams, which y'all know. Y'all a little head on that one. But you can find me on Twitter. Not even trolling the Steelers, because I really don't think of them. I really am focused on the Ravens, to be honest with y'all. But trolling the Steeler fans whenever they puff their chest out, talk about Mason Rudolph being the future, whatever they do there at Quincy. You can find me on YouTube. youtube.com/Quincy Carrier, where I'll be doing intense breakdowns of some teams that matter in the division, like the Bengals, who are up and coming, like the Ravens, who are here right now.
Oh man, the digs.
And then who else is there? Is Pittsburgh there? I mean, Pittsburgh might be there. I don't know, man. We're not really worried about it.
Rankings.
You know, really. By the way, I like I like every team's matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. Like the Bengals actually do match up well against the Steelers. The Ravens, they've always matched up well against the Steelers when they're healthy. And the Browns this year, I feel good about it. I feel good about it, baby. But shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the fans. Shout out to everybody who supports this. I appreciate y'all, even though I troll y'all relentlessly. But Everybody have fun. Everybody celebrate. Everybody be safe. But thank you.
And before, look, the poll's up. Votes are coming, so make sure you follow AFC North Talk, like I said before, so you can make sure you vote. And that's what's going to be next Tuesday's show.
My guy, Steeler Nation 412 is like, we don't hide. You the only one messaging. You the only one messaging. You the only.
Shout out to you though, Steeler Nation 412. But you
don't hide. You're like, yeah, you don't hide, but I don't see anybody else. Like, where are your homeboys at, man? The squad is not with you.
They all at Tony's sister's wedding. That's where they all at.
This man got to comment 12 times to make it seem like it's more Steelers fans in here. It is just him right now.
Make sure you can follow me at SCG Sports anywhere, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, IG. Also, Tony's channel and all of our channels are in the description below. So make sure you follow, subscribe, and hey, we'll see you Tuesday because it's gonna get good. It's gonna get good real fast with all the position rank. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.